Hey everybody, what's up? What is going on, man? This is the last episode of the year of 2017. Look, man, I'm not going to get all rah-rah as to what you should be doing for 2018, but hopefully, you guys all have big goals, and hopefully you're going to do more and better yourself. Look, the economy's doing great. The stock market's up. Look, everybody's feeling rich. Go out and kill it. Look, but when it comes to real estate, we're having an inventory problem, and I'm not going to get into rates and move-up buyers and millennials. I'm not going to get into that. So I have a tendency, if I don't have a script, I start to go off the rails. So, look, today's episode, first I want to say I did this a while back, and this is just kind of sitting in our archives. So if some of the information in terms of topical information is dated, that's why. But here's what we talk about. We talk about how to move up into luxury. So, as I always say, you guys should have a niche that you market to, whether that's doing waterfront or high-rise condos or acreage, whatever it is, man. Have a niche, and ideally, if you want to in a low inventory market like most of the nation is seeing right now, you want to find a pasture, right, a green blue space where there's not a lot of competition, right? So a lot of people want to do luxury, they're scared of it, they don't know how to do it. So today we talk about how to get into luxury. We talk about why hustle matters, one of my most favorite topics, and how to win for 2018. And that's thematic of the episode, not we don't get into specifics. All right, hey, real quick, I'm going to here's what I'm going to try to do. I've kind of been on the whole Alec Baldwin episode releases for the last few months. I'm going to try to be a little bit more specific in terms of getting one out per week, at least one out per week. I know a lot of you guys would love to have 3 or 4. That's way too much work for me. But we're releasing this on the 27th. Christmas just happened. A ton of you guys got new iPhone 10, Samsung 8, whatever. This is a time for always a ton of new activations. So help people find the show. Help me. Help other people out there. Do me a favor. If you can take a minute, go to the website, go to superagentslive.com, and hop on iTunes and give us a rating and review. I would appreciate it. Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first $1 million in real estate. Yeah. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah.
Real quick, before we get to the episode, you can follow us on Twitter at Super Agents Live. Again, I asked for a rating and review. That's great. And look, if you do need some help growing your business, there's a couple things that we do. You can go to the site, as I mentioned before, click on the Grow Your Business tab. We help people get on radio to get listings. We have a little coaching program, schoolofprofits.com. And if you want to start your own podcast, we help with that too. You can go to viralcastwithak.com. Check it out. All right, that's it. Let's get to it. Today on the show, look, you know what? When people go and hire a coach, one of the first things that a coach will typically do is try to get you to move up your price point, right? So that's the quickest way for you to increase your production. Now, that being said, if you live in a market where the average sale, like here in San Diego, it's $500,000, and you wanted to break into $1 million or $2 million or $5 million houses, people are stuck. They don't know what to do. So today's guest is a luxury expert. This is what he does. He has cracked the code out in Chicago, and he helps other people do it too. So I brought him on. We're going to talk a little bit about his philosophy, how he does it, and the best way for you guys to potentially move in that direction. I'm thrilled to welcome Mike Lafito. Okay, I didn't know how to say your last name.
Yeah,
Mike, thanks, man.
All right.
I've been called a lot worse.
Everybody, okay. Hey, so I appreciate you taking the time out. Now, look, I want to get to your magic and your secret sauce, but we always want to get to know who you are first. So tell us a little bit about who Mike LaFido is.
Yeah, Toby, no problem. So I am a father of three, live here in the Chicagoland marketplace. I've been licensed for about just over 17 years now, and I'm with a boutique firm known as Conlin Real Estate. We are a Christie's affiliate here in the Midwest, the only Christie's affiliate in the Midwest. And I have a small group, I have 3 agents on my team, and I focus on helping the sellers, and I have, like I said, the other agents on my team work with buyers and that sort of thing.
Did you grow up out there, Mike?
I did, yeah. I've always grew up from Wheaton, Illinois, home of Red Grange, the Galloping Ghost.
So you've been licensed for 17 years. Is this like a second career for you, or has this been your primary thing?
Sure. So it was a secondary career at first. So I graduated college with a education degree. So I was a high school health and physical education teacher, and I was a part-time agent. And in 2007, I was the second leading producer for Realty Executives for the entire Midwest, and had a lot of agents across the country saying, "Hey, how are you doing it? I know you're a part-time guy." And so that kind of launched my coaching and consulting business. And then I stepped away from, teaching completely and just focus on, real estate and helping other agents, in this case, break into and sell high-end homes is what we focus on.
Yeah. And again, we'll get to that, Mike. I just want to give everybody sort of a background, a picture of who you are, because how we grow up, where we grow up, the experiences that we have sort of shape the decisions that we make, later in life. So 2007, you're the top guy. Now, I'm here in San Diego. 2007, our market was still good, but I think everybody around the world, right? 2008, the world melted. Yeah. How were you able? Now, number one, did you go into real estate full time voluntarily, or did you quit or get fired from being a teacher?
Yeah, no, great question. Voluntarily. So, my wife, we just had our first child, and she was pregnant with our second, and they're literally 14 months apart. So she's 6 months pregnant. We got a 6-month-old at the house and we were already in the decline in the real estate market in Chicagoland, and so most of my family's blue collar, and they thought I was nuts from stepping away from, guaranteeing income. But obviously you got to follow your passions. And so I stepped away from teaching and just to focus on real estate during the sharp decline of the Chicagoland market.
So, and as you did that, were you traditional, or did you get into REOs? Like what?
Yeah, I was traditional. So
always traditional. Okay.
So yeah, I've never focused on REOs or, that marketplace, of course, was thriving then, but I've never, really specialized in that sort of thing. So I just traditional sales. Okay.
And at what point did you start to go luxury, to get a luxury bent towards you? It had to be in the after the turnaround, or was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 2012, 2013. So about 4 years ago is when I really started to focus on it as an agent.
And this is a very broad question, Mike, but when you just compare and contrast, just give us a sense of what average sale in your market and a luxury listing. What do those look like? Numbers.
That's a great question. So obviously it varies town by town, Toby. I mean, we're in the, a lot of western suburbs, northern suburbs, downtown Chicago. I mean, it varies, but I would say 250 to 300 is probably the average, if you will. And I define luxury as 3 times the market average. So, luxury is 750 to 9. Many people put the $1 million cap and above is probably the simplest way to define luxury in Chicagoland, but it could be just a shade below it.
Got it. Okay. So So if you look at that 200, that's interesting, 3 times the average. And I think you're probably right. Again, here in San Diego, our average sale is about 500, but I own a few of those. And for 500, you get a 2-bedroom. I mean, I have a 2-bedroom, 1-bath property built in like 1946, really cute. It's worth $500,000, right? 1,200 square feet. It's totally outdated with 1 bathroom. So I think you're right. You get it 3 times. So here it would be about 1.5. So what is that person from a demographic perspective? What, in terms of the actual person itself or themselves, how does the luxury person, how are they different from an average person? Because I think I want to, and just to prep you, man, I want to get into just how it works, like where you market, how you market, and the differences.
Sure. So are you talking about the individual clientele? So
the individual person, clientele.
That's a great question. I mean, there's a lot of speakers, trainers, coaches out there that talk about the languaging's got to be different, the presentation. And Toby, I guess I'm always been a little bit against the grain, and I think a lot of that is smoke and mirrors and hogwash. So, I mean, people are people. They want you to be transparent, be authentic, be yourself. So, I know I haven't changed as a person in 5 years, and so. Sure, they are going to do their due diligence a little bit more. The higher up you go in the high net worth individuals, they're going to ask tougher questions. They are a little bit more skeptical by nature, so you're going to have to show them what makes you different a little bit more. They're going to ask more difficult questions, but on the same token, I always just tell people, be transparent, be authentic. It's value proposition, right? I mean, no different than a $200,000 seller that's interviewing, 5 agents versus a $2 million seller. They're going to ask you what makes you different. Why should I hire you versus the competition? And, many times, I will tell you this, many times the high net worth individuals, a small percentage will beat you up over fees, just like any price point, but many times they give you less resistance if you bring more value to the table on fees, if you have the track record of selling similar homes as theirs.
Got it. Well, and so one of the reasons why I asked that is because of this, right? So I'll take this back to our market here in San Diego. Sorry, Mike. And by the way, I'm like battling this cough. So if I have to put you on mute for a second. So here in San Diego, luxury, by your 3X definition, is a $1.5 million house. Now, here's the deal. You are not again, here in San Diego, you're not an employee. And employees do not buy $1.5 million houses, right? Those are entrepreneurs. Those are business owners. In again, this case. Whereas the $500,000 house, you can be a blue collar city worker and make, I know guys who are in waste management who will make $100,000 total employees, and they can buy a $500,000 or $600,000 house. Now, for me, the difference in terms of messaging and handling is, I'm one of those people, right? So I bought my house 15 years ago for $1 million, right? So I'm in that upper range, and I drive people, right? So, and again, I want you to address this, and I'm talking way too long, but I feel like the at the upper limit, those are drivers, and at the lower or average, the blue collar person who's accustomed to being told what to do, right? You can lead that person. So, address that.
Yeah, for sure. So I will tell you, you're spot on with that. So the high net worth individuals, many times they are, I'm a big personality type. So many times you mentioned drivers. They are drivers, disc personality. They're drivers. They're business owners. They're more bottom line-ish. Okay, so your presentation has to adapt to that. So, I always tell agents you got to have 3 types of listing presentations. More of a bottom line type of a presentation. Don't pull out the PowerPoint with 80 slides. You're going to lose that person. And then you also have to have a listing presentation that is geared more towards the skeptical, the slower processor, the S and the C and the DISC personality, so to speak. And then you have to have a third type that caters to both. So I do find that the higher net worth individuals are more bottom line fashion, but that's not always the case. So I was just on a $4 million listing appointment the other day, and this gentleman, if you didn't know any better, he is kind of blue collar, and so he was really more about the getting to know you, socializing. And so I didn't bottom line his presentation. Matter of fact, there's an agent who's interviewing with me right now to join my team. And she's like, wow, I was waiting for you to go into your presentation and never did. Well, I was all about rapport building. He wanted to talk. I mirrored him, etc. And again, nobody cares how much I know, Toby, until they know you care. And that's no different in any price point. So you got to build the rapport no matter what the price point is.
So that's perfect. I agree with you, and I think that one takeaway that I think hopefully everybody can get is whether it's a $500,000 listing or especially a $4 million listing. Those are not one and done, right? Those and. You can address this, but you're not going to show up. You meet the guy at a coffee shop. You go, hey, man, I'm in real estate. It just so happens, like, hey, I'm selling my house. You're not going to show up, and the guy's not going to sign a $4 million contract in one meeting. And maybe I'm wrong, but what is your process from the awareness standpoint when they become aware of you, and then listing presentation appointment set? Like, what does that process look like from step A to actual presenting, pitching?
Sure. So there's the informational gathering stage. That's the same with anyone. So you get a call from someone, an internet inquiry, an email, and they're thinking of selling. I'm thinking of selling my house. Michael, you were referred, or I stumbled across you, blah, blah, blah. There's that information gathering. So, Toby, we're trying to find out as much about them as possible, their situation, factual information, their why are they selling. Then we get that information. Then we do the scrubbing. The scrubbing has the house been listed? What's the history? So we do the analytical scrubbing before our appointment. Then we do what I call the social media scrub, where I'm looking to see who their connections are online and offline, social media, etc., to see if I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and so I can get some insider information, because that's all about the rapport building, or hey, that person puts the good in word for you before the appointment. Like, again, it's all about, some of it's confidentiality, so perhaps you don't reach out to someone and say, hey, I'm going on an appointment, Toby's thinking of selling. Well, so you're probably not doing that unless you really know the person really well. Say, hey, I'm going to meet with Toby next week, keep it confidential, he's thinking of selling. I would only do that if I really knew that person and I could trust them, where they're not going to say anything, but very rarely does that occur. So I'm just trying to figure out what the similar connections are. So we're doing all that before the appointment. Then what I do, Toby, is I'm a big believer in these video emails, so I use a service called BombBomb, and so I'll send out a BombBomb video ahead of time, so that seller kind of feels like they know me and like me a little bit before the appointment, and then I'll send some additional information, both digital and many times physical. I call that my pre-listing appointment differentiator, or my shock and awe box. I'll send that out there so that they're pre-sold on me. And then, of course, this is everything that I've done before the actual appointment. So taking you back to that $4 million appointment from 2 weeks ago, and that agent who was thinking of joining my team was like, wow, you never really went into your presentation. Well, what she didn't realize is I pre-sold this gentleman ahead of time. I'd sent him an email, I'd sent him physical stuff in the mail, and of course I brought stuff to the appointment and left it behind with them, some additional information to review. But that's a way to differentiate yourself from the competition. Nobody likes to be sold anything. People love to buy, but they hate to be sold. And if you ever dealt with Caragiannides, I'll never forget my senior year in high school. This dude came that I knew from high school trying to sell my mom Caragiannides, and you felt like you're being presented to and sold, and nobody wants to feel like they're being sold anything.
No, yeah, nobody wants to be sold. People want to buy. I want to talk about your shock and awe box. However, so your process is interesting a little bit because there was, well, here's why, right? You said you need to have 3 listing presentations, right? A bottom line, a soft one, right, aimed at the S&C, and then one that is general or attacks both. and it seems to me that uncovering that disc profile, what are they, right? How do I actually present to this person in a way that fits them, right? Then in a way that they want to digest information. It seems like there would be a meeting or some information sent out, like something to gauge prior to you walking in the front door, which presentation you should pick up. Like how do you determine that prior to walking in the door, or is it all just intuitive for you? You step in and you're like, okay.
No, that's a great point. So I send out, and it's a requirement that they send it back before our appointment, is basically a prospective seller application, Toby, and it's 5 pages. There's a cover sheet, and then, like I said, 5 pages where it's part of the informational gathering process, and from that, I know their personality type from the way they answered. There's some complicated questions in there, and there's some backup questions just to make sure that something didn't slip through cracks, and so that's something that A, differentiates me from the competition, but B, also helps me determine what their style is, their personality style,
right.
as well as the form of communication. You want to communicate with people the way they want to be communicated with, and by what I mean by that, Toby, is you might be a texter, and I'm a get on the phone type of guy, and if you're texting me, like, you're not communicating the way I want to be communicated to. So the way you communicate with a client or a prospective client is important. And how do you know? You ask them. Do you prefer email, phone call, in-person meeting, text? Send me stuff in the mail. And so that's going to be important. And that necessarily doesn't correlate with personality type, but many times it does.
Right. I 100%. I absolutely agree with that. It will. The way that they want to be communicated to, I think, it sends a very number one, a signal as to personality type, number one. But number two, I think it signals how close they are to saying yes, right? Because I don't want to be talked to. I don't want to get on the phone. I want as little communication from you as possible. But if our early relationship starts off like that, and then I'm like, hey, Mike, pick up the phone, call me, and I'll spend 15 minutes with you. Then you're on the right track. Now, the other thing too, Mike, is I would think that if you sent me that 5-page thing, I'm not going to fill it out. I'm not the guy on auditioning right now. You are, and I think I don't know what you would say to me when I said, Mike, I'm not going to fill this out. You come up, you show me how you are different, and then maybe I'll fill it out. But I'm not going to take my time to do that. And I think that will give you a sense of, I'm certainly not a C. If I, or an S, if I'm going to tell you I'm not going to fill out, I'm clearly like a D, right?
Well, not only that, too, Toby, is, again, we're coming back to what's your track record. So if you're a newbie agent and you don't have the track record, then perhaps these might be tall orders because somebody's, I call it the fuse, right? I mean, their wick, just like to use a firework analogy. And so their fuse or their wick is going to be much longer if you're the trusted authority, the leading expert, in your industry. And so then they got to, so to speak, play by your rules, jump through your hoops, even if you're dealing with high net worth individuals. But, if you're dealing with, a newbie and I don't have the track record, I don't have the portfolio, then you're going to want to pick and choose your battles a little bit.
Okay, so can you tell everybody what's in your shock and awe box? Because I think this notion of a pre-listing package is a lot of people talk about it, and I don't think anybody's really cracked the code in terms of what that should really include.
Sure. So I used an analogy. We're in a show and tell industry, Toby. I got to tell you this story because it's funny, and I think your audience would get a kick out of it. So I have a kindergartner and a first grader, and my kindergartner comes home from school one day, and my wife's opened up his backpack, and she sees my Moscow Mule mug. I have a nice copper mug. It's one of my favorite drinks, Moscow Mules. And she's like, Vinny, what's going on here? And he says, well, it was show and tell today at school, and we were supposed to bring something with the letter M, so I brought Daddy's Moscow Mule mug, 3 M's. Like, I thought it was good. Well, my wife's freaking out, like thinking, oh, man, the DCFS is going to call us. And luckily we know the teacher, but think back to first grade, second grade, and you were fired up because it was show and tell day where you're supposed to bring something in and brag about it and be excited about it. Well, real estate is a show and tell industry, and so you got to have the social proof, you got to have the look and feel, especially when we're talking about high end. So inside our shock and awe are actual marketing pieces of properties that we've sold or that we're currently marketing, and again, market to message match. So if I'm sending a shock and awe and a $4 million seller, I'm not going to be sending them marketing pieces for a $200,000 condo, right? So you got to pick pieces that kind of cater towards their home, their style, their price point, their area, etc. So we include marketing pieces. I include my book. I have a video book that I use. Got a 10-inch monitor where I do a lot of these lifestyle films where we're shooting properties. I've shot from helicopters, trains, cars, etc. So we're throwing my video book in there so they can preview my marketing ahead of time, and then actual marketing pieces to sell homes. So there's a little bit of everything in there that we include, including testimonials and case studies. So, and we, of course, so it's not just a plethora of information. We have a nice cover letter that explains, hey, you're receiving this, Toby, because you're going to be meeting with me on Saturday or whatever the day is. Take a look at the information in there, including, and then you kind of spell out why you included the various pieces in there.
Yeah, but so that's great, and if you were going to try to list my house, I would want to see that. But you just bummed a ton of people out right now. Because show and tell for these other people who are used to selling $250,000 houses, it's almost like a chicken and an egg thing you just spelled out, right? It's like, okay, where do you start first? I can't get a luxury listing because I've never done one before, right? So how does someone move up and go from 250 to 750 or $1 million?
Sure. Well, that's a great question. So obviously it doesn't happen overnight. So a couple things they can do. First thing I always tell someone is take high-end listings at any given for any reason. So even if they're overpriced, even if they're unrealistic, even if what have you, get your first couple, stump your toe on it, get your inventory going. But then there's borrowed credibility. So Toby, if you're in an office with Johnny Rockstar that has high-end listings, be like a sponge on the wall, like be a sponge, absorb everything, and ask that agent to work his open houses, to work anything that you can. So borrowed credibility, so to speak. And of course, don't claim listings as your own. Like, so for what I do for agents on my team, I let them leverage my multi-million-dollar homes. Now they can't say, hey, if let's just say it's you, Toby. It's not, hey, this is Toby here. Check out my new $4 million listing. But no, it's, hey, take a look at the new $4 million listing our group or the Michael Afito group is representing, and you can leverage my inventory as your own. And so that's something that I do. So for anyone that's listening out there that has an agent in your office that doesn't have a scarcity mindset, and you can bring value to the table. Maybe you volunteer to work open houses, volunteer to do some grunt work for that agent. The other so that's one thing, Toby.
Hold on. Let me ask a quick question before we get too far off this. So is it unethical in your mind, right? So there's let's take the person on your team. They can call up and go, hey, this is Toby Salgado with the Michael Afito team. Take a look at the $4 million listing we just did, right? And then to go, like, I'll go out of the circle a little bit, right? So what if you were, I was not on your team, but let's say you're a KW agent. Hey, this is Toby Salgado. I just want to call you. I would just say we, right? We just here our office just listed this $4 million house, or maybe some what. So I'll just ask the direct where I was going. Let's say I'm a Keller Williams agent in San Diego. And a whole nother different Keller Williams office just listed a $5 million house, and I circle prospected it and say, hey, Toby Salgado here with Keller Williams. So when I tell you about we just listed, right? How far can you use the royal we?
Yeah, so I would say in that scenario that on my ethical meter that doesn't sit well with me personally, but So to answer your question, if I'm Keller Williams and I'm a couple different offices away, I would call that agent and say, hey, listen, I want to try to get you some free publicity, some free marketing, and ask, right? And many times you got Debbie Dinosaur and traditional Tim, and they're going to say no to that. But you might have someone that's creative and outside the box and say, heck yeah, go ahead and push it out there. Now, I will say, make sure in any marketing that you put listed by Michael LaFido in there. But I'll let you leverage it.
Yeah, no, I agree. You're right. I mean, I think that's the right approach to take is ask, because if that person is reasonably smart, I mean, there's what is the downside to let Ricky circle prospect the neighborhood and tell everybody about the listing I just put out. So,
right.
Okay,
it's no different, Toby, than if I sell 123 Elm Street and I'm the listing agent and you represented the buyer and you sent out just sold postcards and as if you sold 123 Elm Street. Well, again, sold, you brought the buyer. So that's even, I think, if anything, at least you were directly involved in that transaction. That doesn't sit well with me either if I'm the listing agent and you represented the buyer, but at least you were involved in that transaction. Now, again, if you contact me and say, hey, I want to put a just sold out, I would probably say in your marketing I represented the buyer, but that's a totally different scenario. Mm-hmm. But you're absolutely right. These are the big objections that many people have, like hurdles. How am I going to get started? What do we need to do? And of course, a lot of it is mindset. They can't get out of their own way, many agents. So you got to get them in the right mindset.
Yeah, and I think one of the challenges. I mean, I think one of the challenges is that. Again, if you have a $5 million net worth, right, you're probably somewhat educated, and I think a lot of people get. I think the average person who's never cracked $100,000 or never made over net 250, they get intimidated by wealthy people, right? I roll up in my Porsche C4S and they're like, well, who is this guy, right? Especially me, the way that, I'm a little bit of an intense guy. So I think a lot of people are just like, I'm not, there's this comfortability factor with what right? I know Joe Plumber and I know that kind of people and I'm comfortable talking with them. I speak their language.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. So then there's the borrowed credibility. So it comes back to your brokerage or if there's a team member. So, if there's a brokerage in your marketplace that's really known for high end and you happen to be with them, or maybe if you really want to break into that, perhaps you should consider making that move, right? And so that there's that borrowed credibility. So you can be newbie Nathan, brand new agent out of the box, but you're with that luxury authority in your marketplace, you will be perceived as being, kind of that borrowed credibility that you're part of that. So, but if you're with a firm that specializes in low-end homes, you got some hurdles to overcome. So how are you going to position yourself differently? And that's kind of what we do. That's what we help agents do.
Well, and I want to talk about what that is. But I can tell you this, Michael, or Mike. Sorry, I don't know what you like. But for me, I might take a role on a new guy because I would imagine. You're a suave guy. You've done this a million times. You come in and present to me, and you're gonna treat me as if we are peers, right? Hey, Toby, I've done this a billion times. I know this, blah blah blah. And you're gonna be super relaxed. And then there's gonna be that other kid. This 35-year-old guy rolls in, and I know this guy's hungry. Right? I know this kid's gonna hustle for me, and I think I'd probably take a role in that kid because hustle matters to me.
Yeah. Yeah, well, absolutely. They interviewed today, as you might know, South Carolina is in the Final Four, and they interviewed the head coach. Hey, what's more important to be great at defense, technique, or hustle, like willingness to work hard? And the coach said, I'll take someone that just has a good work ethic. I can teach them technique. So it's no different in real estate, right? I mean, if you got a hustler, but if you have two hustlers and one's got a track record, a proven track record, and the marketing plan, well, then it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, now you're closing me. You're closing me, Mike. No, you're right. You're right. You're 100% right. I mean, if everything else is equal and one guy's, if you're going to drive my race car and one kid's a hustler and you're like, dude, I won the last 4 races. Of course, I'm going to put you in the driver's seat. Okay, so how does somebody like you've mentioned different, that word different 6 or 7 times in the last 32 minutes. What is Well, talk to us about being different. What does that look like? How does that manifest itself in a positive way?
Yeah, differentiation in your marketing, online, offline, in person, how you show up, all the above, right? I mean, like my tagline, it's not the market, it's the marketing. I'm a firm believer that, again, you're talking to someone from the Chicagoland market, Toby. It's hilarious. I had an agent reach out to me from California about 6 months ago, and he said, "Man, Mike, what do you do in these situations? I have this listing. It's been on for 3 months, and these sellers are all over me, asking me what am I going to do?" And I'm kind of perplexed, asking him for more details. And he's like, "Yeah, I mean, shoot, I've been getting multiple bids, and usually things don't last, 30 days. So like I'm stuck." And like I have 5 properties I'm marketing above $5 million. And guess how many single family homes last year in all of Illinois, or northern Illinois, which is basically all of Illinois, sold above 5 million or above? There were only 3, Toby. So there's 67 currently on the market. So there's over 22 years of inventory of properties above 5 million.
Wow.
And so my point is differentiation, being different, getting buyers and agents in the media talking about the property so it's top of mind awareness. I mean, that's really like what I feel like my job as the marketing agent is to be. I don't list properties, I market them. There's a calculated difference. I never say, "Hey, I got a new listing, I have a new property that I'm marketing." I think it's a mindset and it's terminology and languaging, but I firmly believe it. So if your audience members are in a seller's market, maybe some of this stuff, it doesn't matter as much. But again, when you get to every marketplace, there's a shift somewhere. It becomes a buyer's market. So maybe in San Diego, it's 3.5 million or 8 million. But at a certain price point, it becomes from a seller's market to a buyer's market. And when you get to that upper echelon, I tell sellers, hire the best marketer. Hire someone that's aggressive, they think outside the box, because statistically, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the agent you hire isn't going to bring the buyer directly to the table. So our multiple listing service, our real estate board has over 16,400 agents, Toby, and the data from 2016 was just released. Only 9% of all sales occurred last year with dual agency. In other words, the agent they hired represented the buyer, or there was no other agent involved. Let me put it to you that way. 9%. So said differently, 91% of the time there was a buyer being represented by another agent. So I share that with you from the standpoint of, Mr. Seller, hire the best marketer, because statistically speaking, I'm probably not going to bring you the buyer directly to the table, although I hope I do.
And again, that's a great script, and I love it. And I mean, the way that I would do that is a little bit different, right? I'd go, "Hey, statistically speaking, your $5 million house, let me tell you statistically the kind of person it's going to buy. It's going to be a 45 to 55-year-old, married with 2 kids. They go to statistically, they go to one of these 3 private schools, which I know the principal in each of them, right? Like that's so."
But that works for you. So that's, I guess, my point.
Yeah.
Is that's a great thing about this, Toby, is I tell people, like, even when I do presentations, I might give you 20 ideas and only 3 of them are something that really fits your personality type or your comfort level, or you think you'll implement, and that's okay. We all put our own different stamp on things. So although I cover, like, I call it the avatar, I cover who I think their buyer is for sure in the presentation.
Okay.
But I was speaking specifically to the data and, hire the best marketer, right? Somebody that's going to find who that buyer is or that buyer's agent. So we just say it in a little bit different way. But
hold on. Let me just jump in there real quick. And here's the point that I was trying to make is there. And again, I'm a little bit, I'm trying to talk to the audience while talking to you, because the people out there go, "Yeah, I get it, Mike. I need to be a better marketer," but they're going to go, "Wow, what is that?" And I think the point is if you can identify your avatar, right, your ideal client in this way, then you know where to market or fish for them, right? Is it online? Is it offline? Marketing that $5 million listing in print probably makes sense for that 52-year-old male buyer, right? So So let's talk about marketing. How can people become better marketers? Because again, it's great for people. I have all these coaches come on who say all these big things, and I'm not on you at all. This is not about you. This is just in general. Then they say high level things. Oh, you have to have a social media presence, but they never get down into the nitty gritty. So how do people address marketing as a whole, and then we get more detail?
Well, I'm going to address marketing. I'm going to address differentiation because you asked me that, and I want to make sure I answer that. So, differentiation, for example, on a listing appointment, showing up differently. Well, what does that mean, Mike? Well, heck, I've showed up, so if you're a female, show up with a male on your team. If you're a male, show up with a female. Show up in pairs. There's strength in numbers. If you don't have the track record or the confidence, bring Johnny Rockstar, who specializes in luxury, on your listing appointment, and maybe make him the co-lister and give him a piece of the pie. But that's how you get those first couple, right? You get those first wins, Toby, and then you build the confidence, you build the portfolio. And so that's one thing I'd recommend for anyone. The second thing would be, I showed up in the past with stagers, okay? So showing up with a stager, so we get a tour of the home, we build rapport, we bring value, and at the end, we ask them, are you open to some ideas? I want to bring value to this appointment, Toby, and so we're going to give you some ideas that will position your home most effectively, so we'll photograph, and it will look better in videos and marketing, etc. And so nobody else shows up with stagers in my marketplace. So bringing more value, showing up differently is part of the game. Again, that Rockstar package or that shock and awe package, the pre-listing differentiator, that was different. So they're pre-sold on me before the appointment. These are all ways to differentiate yourself to increase the probability that they'll pick you over the competition. Now, getting into actual marketing. So, direct marketing, I'm a big believer in direct response marketing. So, do you have a good headline? Do you have a good call to action? Of course, mobile marketing is huge today. So are you showing up with marketing pieces that will show the seller how you utilize mobile marketing in your print marketing or your digital marketing? And so maybe you actually bring their property as an example. So you have a postcard, you have a mailer, you have something that has their home on it versus an example house. It's even more powerful if you're the seller, Toby, and I bring some kind of marketing piece. I took the time to take photos from Zillow, if you've had it as a make me move, or your home was listed before, and I incorporated that into a custom marketing piece and showed up with the listing appointment with your home in a marketing that's branded with my firm in there. That's a way to differentiate, like, wow, this Toby guy, did something different than the other agents.
Those are two great ideas, and I love them both. And I think the first thing that you said was show up with a team, and it made me think of CAA, right? Michael Eisner started that big agency, and in the early days of CAA. Michael would, get a client, and he would have everybody. He had 4 agents. He'd have an attorney in the room, right? And it would. I can imagine how powerful that would be if you showed up with you. And if you're younger, right, get somebody older, right, have some experience there. Your stager, your title guy. An attorney, right? Like if you brought everything and with your team, you could literally answer any question I have. That would be super powerful, super different. Now, do you ever, showing up with marketing pieces? It'd be interesting if it's 123 Main Street that you're on the listing presentation. You could probably have your developer throw up a site for $200-300. Buy 123mainstreet.com. And show up with a one-shot website, right? This is your site. This is how I'm going to market it. Interesting.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's programs out there that you can do that, right? So that's one way. And you brought up the team aspect. I want to circle back to that. So again, differentiate, right? So when most agents in my marketplace do buyer seminars, first-time home buyer seminars, like I'm interested in sellers personally, right? I mean, Florida International University did a study, and agents that focused on listings made a whopping more than agents that did both buyers and sellers versus agents that only work with buyers. So I'm focused on listings, list to live. Listings are the name of the game. With that being said, I do seller seminars. So I team up with my local bank and or title company, and I do seminars. Hey, thinking of selling in 2017. Here are the 7 things that you need to know. We're doing a training at West Suburban Bank or whatever the name of the bank is. You do it at a neutral location, not at your real estate office, because then they feel like you're going to really push them to list the home. But no, bring value, bring your rock star team, the professionals you just named, your title company, your stager, your inspector, an attorney, a photographer, a home warranty company, and bring value. So these are all things you can do to differentiate.
I love it. I think that's great. So we've covered a ton of ground. We have to start wrapping up here, Mike. But what's something I didn't ask you that I should have asked you or talked about?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. So, people just got to take action, right? I mean, Toby, the reality is, we all have limiting beliefs. We have, excuses basically why we can't do it, or I'll do it next year. I'll do it when my volume gets this. No, just do it. Yeah. Like go after, I'd rather, go after elephants than go after the small little, right? So, take risk. I mean, never let an opportunity pass you by. And so, that's what I would tell people. So,
jump, man, jump. And I'll tell you, I'm very much ready, fire, aim. And it's worked for me. It's worked for a long time for me. And there's a ton of people who are like, they're like, I got to get ready. I have to aim. And, they aim and take 18 deep breaths and then they finally fire. And when they miss 3 times, they're like, I'm done. I can't shoot this gun, right? So many people try something. They'll try it for 3 months. And they're like, it doesn't work, right? I'm done with this real estate. That's why so many people wash out after 18 months. I agree with everything you just said. What's one thing? How can you convince someone who's like, oh, I need an assistant. I know I need an assistant, but I just don't want to spend the money, or I don't know if I'm ready. Like, how can you push that person over the edge? Just go, just do it. Yeah.
Well, I guess what I can tell you is when you get that high-end property, instant credibility, your sphere, your database, your social media will totally respect you as an agent even more when you get that trophy listing. Like, wow. So there's other residual benefits besides the potential commission checks that you get that are much more lucrative, Toby. Mm-hmm. The credibility factor. I mean, becoming like an instant authority when you market one of those properties. So, do whatever you can ethically to get that first high-end property. Well, like I said, whether it be overpriced, whether you take it practically and don't even make a fee. I mean, be honest with you. I mean, if I was going to a new marketplace and I landed there, I tell people there's 3 things I would do, and 2 of them involved your database and your sphere, but one of them is cold marketing. So the cold marketing, of course, could be FISBOs, canceled, and expireds, and then your warm marketing is, create a luxury networking group, a leads group, and I don't have enough time to go over that, Toby, but that's one thing that I teach. But basically, the best way to get referrals is give referrals. Be a connector of people, and be a connector of people that deal with high net worth individuals or that are well connected with, luxury folks. And that's a way to get in with folks. But, we've given a lot, like you said, and I would just tell people that get your first victory, do whatever you can ethically to get that first high-end property. I would probably take a high-end property today at $0, which would cost me money after I spend money on the photos and the video, because I know how many doors it would open. My first video I did, I rented a car transport. I had 4 cars. I had 2 video crews. It was almost $10,000, and it was for a community where there hadn't been a $4 million sale in a couple of years, and I was taking a $4.5 million listing, Toby. But I knew that there was going to be 2 types of return on. There's 2 types of ROI. Return on investment, and I know statistically it was going to be a very difficult home to sell, but there's a return on impressions, and I knew how many doors that was going to open for me if I made that investment. Even if that home never sold, many agents with a scarcity mindset would say, man, I lost money on that.
Right.
No, I opened a lot of doors that I would not have opened if I didn't take on that project.
Absolutely, 100%, man. I think that's great advice, and there is a halo effect to that kind of stuff, right? There's this multiplier, and you just have to kick that first domino over, and it just goes boom, 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 boom. That's why guys like you who've been doing it for so long, right? They're like, "How do you do it, Mike?" And you're like, "Well, I have this track." So I love it, and I do. Every business industry, airlines to razors, or to baby diapers. Right? They all do loss leader stuff. There's zero anything wrong with taking a listing like that for $0 just to put yourself in that league. Awesome advice, buddy. I'm glad we got to it. I'm glad you showed up. Hey, real quick, we always ask for a book recommendation. Here's the setup. I'm an aspiring agent. I have $25. What book should I go buy today?
Yeah, that's a great question. You have $25. What book would you go buy? Well, I'm a big Dan Kennedy fan, so I would recommend his No BS book called Marketing to the Affluent, and it's actually $17.95, so they can save some money. But Dan Kennedy's Marketing to the Affluent, no holds bar, kick butt, take no prisoners guide to getting really rich.
Dan's a funny guy. Yeah, and if I don't know if that's an Audible, but you guys go get a copy on us. Go to audibletrial.com/superagentslive. And look, I know you're a marketing guy. I don't know if you know this, but I recently had Dean Jackson on the show.
Oh, Dean's awesome.
Dean's a great guy. I recently had Brian Kurtz on the show. I'm sure you know who Brian is.
Yeah.
So cool, man. You're in good company. Where can people find out more about you and what you do and how you help people, Mike?
Yeah, no problem. So I'll just keep it 30 seconds. So I put together basically a training platform to help agents looking to break into and dominate selling high-end and luxury homes. There's more information on that. You can go to luxurylistingspecialist.com, luxurylistingspecialist.com. And, you're doing an amazing job, Toby, with your interviews. And like what you're doing, we created a podcast for those agents as well, known as luxurylistingpodcast.com. Matter of fact, I just interviewed Gary Gold, and he shared how he got the Playboy Mansion sold. So we're interviewing top luxury agents on how to break into it. But for those agents looking to take their business to the next level, go to luxurylistingspecialist.com. It's $997. It's not cheap, but if you want to invest in yourself, you have access for 1 full year, over 8 hours of content, including downloadable materials.
Yeah, dude, I had Gary on the show back in 2014. I just talked to Bjorn in his office. I was aware of that Playboy thing. So let's say that somebody they're able to step out of their scarcity mindset. They're able to say, yeah, this is something that'll help me. They open up their wallet. They give you $997. And let's say this person, right? You and I know that, you can. I have some Dan Kennedy crap I've not read through, right? I look at it, I'm like, that's exciting. I buy it. I don't do anything with it. I bought the Titans DVDs from Brian, right? I've looked through some of them. I had the tab up on my thing. I haven't opened it in a while. Let's say though somebody does that. They give you $997, and they take action.
Yeah.
Over the next 12 months, what can they expect to, how will you change their business, their life, their outlook for that?
Well, take action is the key, right? I mean, if they implement, Toby, which is, 80%, no offense, 80% of agents don't take action. So, I can give them the tools and put it right in front of them, and they won't go through it. But if they go through it and they implement what I teach and suggest. And one of the things that we're offering, we have a special partnership we're about to announce in a week or two. We're going to provide agents turnkey, done-for-you marketing materials where you can leverage our multi-million-dollar properties across the globe that are in my network. And you can leverage that on your social media, on your Pinterest, on your Facebook, and your email. So if somebody's, if we got an $8 million property in Provo, Utah, you can put a post up there saying, hey, if you know of anyone looking for a ski resort, take a look at this amazing home. This is a show and tell industry. I'm the only trainer out there that's going to be able to allow you to use these properties. And it's an income stream where we can track it. If somebody buys one of those properties, you'll earn a nice referral fee as well.
All right, cool, man. Well, I'm going to end this right here. Let's definitely stay in touch. Thanks for coming on, but I want to talk about something offline. So, all right, everybody, that's it. Go get them. See ya.
Thanks, Toby.
Got it.
Let's go. Yeah.